have to say, in preparing for this hearing and watching your exchange with some of my colleagues before, I have to say I've been reminded of a number of concerns that I have about your nomination. You're, of course, entitled to free speech. You're not entitled to a Senate confirmation. I know you understand that. Last time you came before this committee, we discussed your voluntary recusal from retransmission consent issues and what so many have been calling the Sohn rule for recusal. How is it going to be defined moving forward? Based on a number of the issues that were raised here today and some in previous hearings, it seems that this rule, so to speak, may come into play for many other topics. The FCC is a public interest regulator, and the American people, of course, deserve a full-time commissioner that won't be forced to recuse him or herself from relevant issues. And on top of that, if you don't recuse yourself from a number of different issues, it's become clear that the American people can't necessarily trust that you'll make objective decisions in furtherance of the public interest. We need a fair and impartial regulator at this powerful federal agency. A former Democratic colleague of ours has called for a new nominee due to your, quote, extremist tactics, unquote. The Progressive Policy Institute opposes your nomination. This is not a GOP or a conservative front group. They've cited your, quote, pattern of illiberal intolerance for voices on the left who dissent from your hard left orthodoxies, unquote. Frank Washington, he's a veteran of the Carter administration, and he wrote, and of the FCC, and he wrote an op-ed opposing your nomination and detailing what I will say is a cozy relationship with big tech. In that op-ed, he went on to write, "What's most troubling is the patronizing mindset she's displayed toward minority communities, an all too familiar strain of progressivism that invokes our cause and showcases our voices when convenient, but then belittles us if we challenge their central planning orthodoxies," unquote. Additionally, you've accused members of Congress of being bought and paid for, and yet you've apparently made a host of generous political donations to United States senators while your nomination was pending before this very committee. Finally, I'm most concerned with the letters that we have received from numerous law enforcement organizations, and this has been mentioned before: the Fraternal Order of Police, National Sheriff's Association, the National Association of Police Organizations. These letters highlight concerns about your liking and retweeting of posts on social media about defunding the police. The National Sheriff's Association states, "Law enforcement officers across the country risk their lives every day to protect and serve our communities. They deserve the support of senior officials in the federal government who help to set policy. Unfortunately, Ms. Sohn has failed to provide such support by using social media to promote alarming statements that denigrate law enforcement," unquote. The FOP states that your public record is disqualifying to become a member of the FCC, and their letter further highlights that a vote to favorably report Ms. Sohn's nomination would show a complete disregard for the hardworking men and women of law enforcement who are simply trying to do their jobs and protect the public. As I said before, we need a fair and impartial regulator at the FCC, and the litany of concerns raised by a variety of stakeholders give me great hesitation as to whether you'll be able to serve in that capacity. Can you please, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond, can you please address the concerns raised by left-leaning stakeholders, for example, that you are intolerant to views that are not far enough left for you?
Yeah, that's, I've never heard that before, actually. And actually, I have a reputation of bringing people of all different ideologies together. I just think that's false. Let me talk about the allegations of bias, because they cut very deep for me, because I take them very, very seriously. And I have conferred with ethics counsel both at the White House and also at the FCC to make sure that I will be free of bias. And if somebody believes that I will be biased in a particular docket, they can raise that with the FCC, and I will talk to ethics officials. So I pledge to you that if there's an allegation of bias, that I will talk to agency officials and make sure that I can participate.